A very good afternoon to all of you. I welcome you all to the day 4 of Faculty Development Program of Design Thinking. This is our third session for the day. So we have with us our third industry expert, Mr. Srinivas Lingam. So to know much about him, he's a great man. He's a vast industry experience. He's coming a lot with a lot of experience with us, and we're going to get an industry insight to what we have learned so far. So I will request Ramna ji to please take over from here and tell us about something, some brief bio about Srinivas Lingam. Thank you.
Thanks, Dr. Manoj. Thank Mr. Srinivas sir for sharing your time, and I'm sure participants will definitely love to hear insights from you about today's topic. I'll take this opportunity, sir, to kind of introduce and give you an overview of your profile to all of us here present here. So, Mr. Srinivas Lingam is an industry veteran with over 23 years of core industry experience in information technology industry. Over the years, he has worked on multiple roles ranging across planning, pre-sales, sales and account management, project management, and delivery management. Over the past few years, he has done several CXO roles. He started his career with the erstwhile Polaris Software. Today, it's called Intellect Design Arena. He has also worked with Electronic Data Systems, which got acquired by HP subsequently. He was also the deputy director, CIO of the Indian entity of the Italian group Banca Sella SPA. He is currently the CEO of Sella India Software Services, which is the offshore IT arm of Gruppo Sella of Italy. Over the years, Srinivas has worked with colleagues and clients across North America.
Aparna Dode spelling అది అర్థం కాక ఆమె రైటింగ్ లెటర్ చేసి
all the participants. Sir, I will mute all of them. Ramna ji, please unmute and come in again. Just hold on for a second. I will mute all of them.
Thanks, Dr. Manoj. So, over the years, Srinivas has worked with colleagues and clients across North America, Europe, and Southeast Asia. And he has a great relationship with Odisha, Dr. Manoj. So, he has a BE degree in computer science from Utkal University and a postgraduate diploma in business management from XIME, Bhubaneswar. Srinivas is a believer in concept of long learning and doesn't consider himself as an expert of anything. He is keen in opening, and he has a he is keen for an open mind to listen, observe, and learn. Outside of work, Mr. Srinivas prefers to listen to music, cook food, and go cycling. Currently, he is residing in Chennai, which he considers as his hometown, but he has roots in Visakhapatnam. So that was a brief profile of Mr. Srinivas. Thanks again, sir, for joining on behalf of everyone present here. And with this, I request you to kindly take over from here.
Thank you. Thanks for the introduction, and it's a pleasure and privilege to be a part of this discussion. Okay.
Yes.
Am I audible now?
We can hear you.
Good. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Yes. Please go ahead.
To all of you, I will try my best not to put you to sleep. I have a brief presentation which I'm going to run you through and share what I have learned over these 20-25 years of around the change, disruption, and what it takes to stay relevant. Bear with me as I share my presentation. Please. Are you able to see it?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We can. Please go ahead, sir.
Good. So, disturbance or problem, which interrupts an event, which kind of change is a process.
So am I the
There is
only one
a,
who is facing problem with your audio, sir?
are you facing audio
I think so.
problem?
You have a delay in your audio. If you can, I think you might be facing one bandwidth issue. You are facing a delay in your audio. If you wish, you can switch off your video for a
Can,
moment and try again.
okay. Give me a moment. Is it okay if I log back on in 2 seconds?
No issue, sir. Please take your time. So in the meantime, Ramnathji, there is one feedback coming from one of our participants. He is requesting, can we able to see the submissions of other participants to get a bigger overview of the assignments and all other things. So how can we help her in that?
I was not able to get the question, Dr.
See,
Manoj.
we have a submission lined up every day. He's also doing it regularly. We just
Ah,
want to know how other people have attempted those assignments and all to get a bigger picture of that particular assignment and all. So can we help her on this? Because I can't find an answer to that.
even I'll have to check because the number of assignments that I'm received are very few in number. So I
Okay.
also have to need to go back and check. But definitely once I have the participant list and email. So definitely I can share it via the mail.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, Mr. Srinivas has joined. Yeah.
Okay, fantastic.
I am back. Is this better now?
Yes, sir. It's better.
I'm getting info though. Yeah. Is it okay now? I'm sorry.
Yes, sir.
So, the whole idea is that we have been in a state of disruption for the last 20 years, so to speak, with an increasing frequency of disruptions that are impacting us in more ways that we can imagine. Today, there are so many disruptions that come in waves that it is very difficult to distinguish between which disruption is creating what impact, right? But then, what is disruption for you, right? So there is a small exercise that I want to do with you all. You have your mobile phones, right? Do you have your mobile phones?
Yes.
If you can log into menti.com and there is a code there on the screen, I'll project another screen. It will be there on that screen as well. And, you just respond. What are the 3 disruptions that you think have impacted you as a person? You just type, 2-word answers, 1-word answer, whatever, and then submit it. Okay. So I will be sharing that screen shortly. And then you can are you able to see the screen?
Yes, sir.
So why don't you go ahead and go log into your mobile phone,
Yes.
menti.com, and then go ahead. Yes.
0.
0. Let's just take 2 minutes
Yes,
for
yes,
allowing everyone to plug it in.
What is the number, sir?
3533260.
You can see it on the top of the screen. We have that.
Yes, it's there on the top of the screen.
Right, thank you. Right.
3 disruptions that impacted you as a person.
Friends, we are 72 strength. We should see 72 into 3 responses.
Okay, we'll take 1 more minute and then we're going to talk about this. Good. And you can keep putting your thoughts and while I speak through this, right? Personally, for me, if you ask me what, Srinivas Lingam, what was your disruptions that happened for you? My first disruption happened when I moved from home to a hostel, right? I was barely 16 years old when I went into the West Hostel of Ravenshaw College, Cuttack. For those of you who have studied in Ravenshaw College, if there is someone here, is there someone here from Ravenshaw College who's my alumni? No one? Okay. So you can imagine that that is a fairly old college, very old building, and the hostel was also equally old. And for me, it was a shocker to go there. And it was a disruption for me as a person because there it taught me new skills. I learned new things. I learned to adapt. I learned to negotiate. I learned to survive on my own. So that was the first disruption I had, I think, in my life that happened. My second disruption in life was getting married. So when you have another person come into your life, it changes a whole lot of dynamics for you. And so that was the other, other disruption as far as I would say. The third big disruption is having children, and that again changes a whole lot of dynamics for you as a person. And of course, there are things that you have put out here: mobile phones, social media, online shopping, and everything else that you have here. Yeah. And quite recently, like most of you have put here, as COVID, coronavirus, and everything again has brought in a lot of changes. So why? And this is where the point I wanted to make to you here with this exercise is that disruption can take many forms. It is not necessarily what you read in newspapers or watch on TV, or someone comes and gives you a 20-page report saying this is disruption happening, right? Disruptions can come from anywhere. And so therefore, it is a more wide-ranging term when we talk about disruption than just technology or environmental events. So I'm going to be stopping the share on this. I will, sort of try and send this picture out to the group to see what you had put as your disruption thoughts that are there. So thank you for participating on that. And so going back to sorry, where was I? Did I accidentally lose you guys somewhere? Stop this.
We can still hear you, sir.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
And
Now
so
you have
I'll just
stopped
bring you
sharing.
back onto my presentation.
Yes, sir, please.
Okay, good. Let me know when you can see the presentation.
Yes, sir, we can, please.
Thank you.
Yeah, good. So, the whole idea was also to sort of get you engaged into the dialogue. I would really also appreciate your viewpoints if you have certain opinions when we go through this presentation. So, do you remember this? The STD PCO where we used to stand in a queue to make a phone call, and today, everyone has a phone in their hands, right? There is fairly very less population that does not use a phone. The movement from film photography to digital photography, and this is how technology has been disrupting things. Standing waiting for a taxi to calling a taxi and having a choice of which kind of car you want to drive in, right? So the 2 decades, that kind of disruptions that have happened, and that is what is defining life today. It started with Y2K, I would say. Y2K was the big disruption as far as India is concerned, because it kind of opened up the floodgates for Indian IT industry to expand. It literally impacted our economy in ways which brought in liberalization, which brought in more foreign currency into the country. It brought in more economical growth to the country. And so Y2K was probably the first step. And then you saw the, coming of Google, YouTube, Twitter. These were the digital and social media that kind of changed the way we look at information, right? Overnight, the importance of libraries went away. People had information on hand, right? And that's how. And then you saw what happened to Enron, a mega large organization that kind of dissolved into a scandal. And you had the 9/11 event of terrorism. You had the Iraq war following that. You had the subprime mortgage crisis in the US, which, threw in a global recession during the last decade in 2008, 2009, when the world global economy literally collapsed. You had the growth of our space research in India. You'd seen India going off from just launching satellites to setting up moon missions and missions to Mars, right? Facebook and all of that. And then you had the mobile disruption that came through. And you see how from a 2G phone to a 5G phone, how the speed of data has evolved just in a span of about 15 years, it has gone from about 8 Mbps kind of speed to 10 Gbps kind of speeds that is accessible, and the kind of opportunities it opens up. And then there was our environment. Environment started taking center stage in the last decade. You have children as young as 5 years, 10 years old who are speaking about environment. There are laws that have been passed around environmental safety. And there is a whole lot of more awareness that is there around environment today than it was there about 5 years ago. And quite recently, we had the corona COVID virus last year that has created. So this last 20 years, 2000 to 2020, and this is just a representative set. There are a lot more that have happened during these years, but this is the representative set of things that have sort of defined life as it is today. And what was the impact of all these changes in the last 20 years? Right? It drove regulations, a lot of regulations to protect the customers, to protect the end users of financial services, banking, stock market, accounting principles, anti-money laundering, reporting guidelines, a whole lot of regulations that we see today in the banking industry were driven in the last 20 years alone. And that has driven a lot of also technological innovations that needed to happen to support these regulations. Safety became center stage, anti-terrorism, cyber security, biohazards, travel regulations, a whole lot. I mean, imagine, before 9/11, we used to walk into an airplane and international travel 45 minutes before the flight took off. Now you have to be there 3 hours before, and you are checked top to bottom, and technology is used to trace, track, and protect. So that is what is happening along with safety. Leveraging technology, we have started driving up our reach into automation, analytics, algorithm-driven programs, the digital culture that has been coming in, and virtual. And today's meeting would not have been possible without all of these things happening. Today, if we are able to sit in 100 different locations, connect together as a community and talk, this is what has happened in the last and this actually is a result of the last 10 years and not even 20 years. And so that's how fast disruptions are happening, changes are happening. Quality of life for sure has improved. I'm sure you can agree that the quality of life you had before and the quality of life that you have is far changing much more better. There is a lot of focus on pollution control, on food safety, access to healthcare, personal data privacy, and the equal opportunity that is getting created given all the changes and disruptions that are happening around you. So what are the current primary forces of disruption that are in action today, right? The current forces are 4, broadly. I'm not talking, there are about 15, 16 different elements that are there, but broadly 4 that are quite relevant for us in this group. The first is technology. The way technology is evolving today, the boundary between humans and algorithms is shifting very fast, which means a lot of the things that we used, manual labor, human intervention, our own faculties to do, are now getting automated through algorithms, right? And I'm going to talk to you about what it changes. Then there is globalization. Now we have gone beyond globalization. I'm going to talk to you about this a little bit, and our demographics and the current generation of generations there. And our environment, what is happening due to exponential climate impacts. So, as I was saying, more and more jobs are getting driven by algorithms than by human beings. This leads to changes in traditional roles. What I mean by that is that today, even within the IT industry, for example, we used to have testing, which was a highly manual effort that used to be done. We used to have full companies doing testing, 300 people, 400 people sitting and doing only software code testing. Today, that has shrunk to literally 25% of that original workforce that was there because of automation. And even it will even shrink further as we bring in artificial intelligence and algorithms into play. And this is a small, simple example of how roles are changing. The traditional roles are going away, right? Uh, Today, you do not have, a concept of an office assistant. There are virtual assistants that are there. Every office used to have someone who used to be in the front desk or who used to be a secretary or an office assistant doing things. But that role is no longer there. You have a bunch of virtual assistants that do everything for you the same way that your personal assistant used to do. And so that role is going away. You have paralegals, people who used to do research for lawyers. They used to study different cases of the past, find out precedences, and then, bring the case details to a lawyer so that he can build his argument for a case. Today, that is getting replaced by artificial intelligence. The lawyer can get all that he needs to a click of a button. And so the traditional role of a paralegal is getting reduced. And you'll soon see the similar kind of things happening in industry, in medicine, and in every field that is there, that some of these roles will start to change. Does that mean there is a shrinkage of jobs? No. Actually, for every million jobs that are going away, there are 2.5 million jobs that are getting created. But the difference is, are we skilled enough to move from this job role to the next job role? Is that there? And what is the gap that is there? And that is where you see that the concept of reskilling, upskilling starts becoming important for us to say, how are we getting prepared for the new jobs? 5G and edge computing is another part of technology that is going to be driving a lot more changes that you see. As I had spoken earlier, 5G, the data speeds become really, really fast. The moment you get that kind of leverage in terms of technology, in terms of the speeds at which data can be exchanged, it opens up a whole lot of possibilities. It leads to what we call as edge computing. Edge computing is nothing but saying that the computational activity, the computation and the transaction of the decision-making engine can lie within the device, and it does not need to connect back to a central computer or to the cloud or anything. It can happen on that spot, and the results can be obtained there itself. So, what does that open up? Let me give you an everyday example, right? You have, you buy groceries every day. I mean, monthly groceries from the shops and all, right? What 5G and edge computing have the potential to do is to build a smart cabinet in your kitchen, right? The moment, you start running out of tea in your cabinet, right? It places your tea into a shopping list, right? At the moment your dal is getting over, it goes into a shopping list. At the moment your soaps are getting over, it goes into a shopping list. This is what the smart. And then at a predefined interval, these orders go out automatically and the payment is made automatically. You do not interfere in anything. You only set up the system once and then it monitors it does, right? At the end of each month, you get a report of what you consumed, how much you consumed, and everything else. And then it kind of opens up a whole lot of potential in what can be done with that data. And this is all possible with that. Other things is if vehicle telematics, for example. Today we drive to long distances. Now we have good roads as compared to previous years. So now we are able to drive. I just did a trip to Visakhapatnam, which is about 900 kilometers from Chennai. And I did it with only my phone. I did not have to ask anyone anything. I did not have to check anything. I knew exactly where to go, how fast to go, and everything else, right? But still, I thought there were gaps in my driving experience to this distance, right? Now, what will 5G edge computing can do? It will allow for vehicle-to-vehicle communication to happen real time, right? It will allow data to get exchanged, which means if I'm driving down a road and there's a vehicle that is coming from the other side and it has experienced slowness in traffic, or it has experienced bumps in the road or pits in the road, or it has experienced a complete stoppage due to an accident, that data will get transmitted to me as I drive past that vehicle, right? And I am able to know that, okay, there is something ahead that I need to be alert about, or the roads are not in good condition, or there has been an accident up front, and so I need to be careful while arriving at that point, or whatever. I mean, there are sensor-driven technologies that are going to change life in a big way the moment you have 5G speeds and edge computing coming into play. So this is what technology is going to be doing. And then there is quantum computing. Quantum computing is a big buzzword right now. The practical applications of quantum computing have been very, very low. Will quantum computing replace traditional computing? No, it will not. But before that, let me stop here. I know a lot of you are from engineering colleges and all. Have you read about this concept of quantum computing? I hear silence. Am I audible? Not audible?
So you can go through the chat box as well. Some queries being answered.
Okay. Let me see, because I'm presenting. I'm probably not. Okay. Yes. So yes. So you've understood the concept of quantum computing. Just quickly to set the context of quantum computing. I mean it's an entire course in itself, and I probably am the least qualified person to talk about quantum computing here. But in basic, simple layman terms, a traditional computing runs on bits, a 0 or a 1, a presence of a voltage or an absence of a voltage in the circuit. So it is a 0 and 1. So what it does is that working with 0 and 1 in a binary form limits the amount to which the computing level can scale. It cannot scale beyond a particular point. So it cannot do computations beyond a particular level. The complexity of computations is limited by this binary system, the 0 and 1. Okay. In quantum computing, which is more to do with quantum physics, there are concepts that of going to the subatomic level and measuring the energy states there, and using those energy states to define the data there. So these are called qubits, and in qubits, the particles inside any subatomic level have the possibility to have multiple states or manage two states at the same time. So what it does is that being able to manage these particles at multiple states at the same time, or at multiple or different states in the same time within the molecule, actually allows for a drastic increase in the amount of data that can be processed, given the nature of the states in which these particles are maintained. So that kind of drives up the amount of complexity and at the speed at which a quantum computing machine can handle computations. However, today's quantum computers are not, how would I put it, road ready or production ready. And there are quantum computers, you can rent quantum computing capabilities from IBM, from Google, and from a few other specialist companies. But these quantum computers are extremely sensitive because they are working at subatomic levels. They have to be kept at the literal, 0 degrees Kelvin kind of thing status. They have to be kept away from all forms of noise, because otherwise the particles tends to lose the state at which they are trying to be maintained, and the algorithms will not work on that kind of scenario. So these are highly specialized pieces of equipment that only a few people in the world have today. And but this is the next big thing, because then traditional computing will continue to do what it is doing today, because it happens at a very low cost, and it does what the businesses need. But more complex calculations required for example, weather predictions, space travel, the best route planning travel, computations, all of these which have multiple variables that keep constantly changing in real time and are not fix it in a point of time. Those kind of computations are what is going to go into quantum computing. So it has the potential to really, accelerate our understanding of space, of our understanding of space-time combination, our understanding of the larger world in general. So it has a lot of potential that to disrupt how we see life as it becomes more and more accessible. So what is happening in the job market, right? If you see here, and this is a survey report from a Future of Job survey done recently by the World Economic Forum, you will see the jobs that have an increasing demand and jobs that have a decreasing demand. Does it mean that these jobs are going to go away? Maybe over time, but not immediately. It's not as if tomorrow these jobs will stop. But definitely the demand for these skills are going to come down and the demand for these skills are going to go up, the ones that you see on the left. I'm not going to be reading through all of this. I'll anyway share the presentation so you can go through this. But this is how the job market scenario is changing, right? How are the job families changing in the industry, right? When you come to an IT industry, and this is from LinkedIn's data along with the World Economic Forum's survey, a lot of these jobs are collapsing into a different new job family. So the newer job families are around cloud computing, engineering, people and culture, data and artificial intelligence, product development, sales, content creation, content management, content distribution, those kind of activities, and then marketing. So, I would not be surprised that in the next 5 years' time, if you don't see a job description which has to do with real estate or which has to do with purchasing or which has to do with quality assurance, those are things that will move into a new job family over time in the next 4 to 5 years. But this is how the transitions will happen from one job family to another job family. Beyond globalization, what do I mean by beyond globalization? You've seen in the last few years the rise of nationalism and populism that has been happening. You're seeing what is happening in the United States of America. You're seeing what is happening here in India. You're seeing what is happening in China. You're seeing what is happening in Germany. All of these places, Brexit with UK moving back out of the European Union, the UK has come out of it. So you're seeing Brexit happening. This is a result of the rise of nationalism and populism that is happening within the geopolitical scenario that is there. Trade barriers are getting created. People are trying to see how to create trade barriers by increasing tariffs on import duties, by pushing out, by doing dumping in third world countries. So these are things that are happening. Regionalization, prime example is Make in India, right? It's a good move. I'm not saying talking about this in a negative sense. Please understand this, that this is what is happening. There is regionalization that is happening. There is protectionism that is happening. And this definitely starts to change the socio-economic fabric that we see. And these are disruptions that impact us at an individual basis over time, right? We will start seeing those impacts happening. And there are technomic cold wars, as we call it, technology and economic cold wars, right? Let us ban 20 apps from China. Let us not buy Chinese phones. Let us ban imports of motorcycles from the United States. Let us ban. So these are all technology-driven economic cold wars. It says that, look, if I start blocking technology, and it has an economic impact, right? So earlier economic cold wars happened through sanctions, right? We will not allow export, import of technology. We will not allow export, import of goods. Those were the things that you would see in the past. But now it has become more and more focused on specific areas, and this economic cold wars are going to go on for some more time. And what it does is that if we are not buying technology from somewhere else, we'll be forced to build the technology here. And if we are forced to build the technology, we need to build skills to build the technology. So that is what is the impact that you will see. And then the generations. Generation Z is our current generation of youngsters, right? I probably belong to Generation X. I don't know, there will be some of you who are in Generation Y, the millennials. And then there are people who are in Generation Z. The current generation is a digital native, which means that they don't know about the rotary phone, right? They don't know about transistor radio. They don't know about film cameras. They have never seen those. They have not used those. They are born into the digital world, right? They are tied to social networks. Just as an example, I was just telling, my son, who's 16 years old, has got about 500 followers on his Instagram account, right? And he's not even a social influencer, or he does not do anything special to do that. But then he has got 500 followers. His school class is only about 40 people, but then he has 500 people, and they're of all different ages. So social networks is a reality in the lives of this generation, right? Mobility and multiple realities. So 99% of Generation Z today has a phone in their hands. So either the parents have given it to them or they have bought their own, but they all live with the phone, right? And when I say multiple realities, it is there. They have a digital reality of theirs, and then they have a physical reality, right? They have physical friends and they have digital friends, right? And I see this every day. I have 2 teenage kids, and I see this every day, day in, day out, right? As to how they have 2 different realities and how they deal with those realities and how they maintain those realities on a day-to-day basis. And why is this important? Because that defines their behaviors, that defines their aspiration, that defines how they think, their thought processes, right? That defines the meaning of what we call as digital addiction. To say, hey, is he digitally addicted or is he just engaged, right? And we need to, as people of the previous generation, we tend to get confused between these two, to say, is he engaged or is he addicted, kind of thing. For us, sometimes it becomes a difficult comprehension to make, right? And why is this important in terms of knowing all of this? To say, they're dialoguers, they're realistic, they're unique, they're unlimited, they have a higher sense of ethic, right? They're more concerned towards environment and making sure things are good, right? Greta Thunberg is a part of Generation Z, and she has been shaking the world of environment for the last 5-6 years, right? And why am I saying this? Also, is that from personal experience again, is that we recently had Diwali, and this Diwali was a very unique Diwali because we had to do social distancing and everything else. But yet, inside the apartment complex, people burst crackers and they celebrated. How old were the people who burst crackers? On an average, all of them were 30-35 years old, right? What were the kids doing? They were sitting together, talking, doing videos, taking pictures. They did not want to burst crackers because they said it is environmentally irresponsible on our part to be damaging the environment. They were very, very clear that they will not do it. I hardly saw any kid over the age of, between the age of 7 and 16 coming and bursting crackers. They stayed away voluntarily. No one told them, no one asked them. This is what they did voluntarily. So their generation is thinking differently. And so we need to understand and adapt to that thinking and thought process, because we are going to be influencing their thought process also going forward. And if we do not understand that thought process and to know how to influence, we'll always get into conflict. So rather than influencing them, we'll only be antagonizing them. So we need to understand this from the generational perspective. Environment. The first impact of environment is income inequality, right? A lot of places, productivity losses are happening due to changes in climate. This is not news. We see this, we read this. There are floods, there are no rains, there are crops dying, or there are overproduction leading to destruction of value of the crops. And so people just throw them away because it's not valuable enough to carry to the market and sell. So this creates income inequality across sections of people. because of the productivity loss that happened. And also, not only agriculture, this is also to talk about manufacturing, construction industry, and everywhere else. Overall, a study was done which says that on an average, the temperature of the world has gone up by 1 degree, 1.2 degrees Celsius in the last 10 years. That 1.2 degrees Celsius increase has caused enough fatigue and tiredness in workers, construction workers, manufacturing workers, physical laborers, to bring down their productivity by almost all 15%. Okay, by 15%, the productivity has come down. The work that they were doing, 15% has reduced. That has been creating other problems. So this is the impact of environmental disruption that happens to us. Food insecurity, more and more deforestation, overfishing, and everything is happening, because of which we are creating deserts, we are creating barren land, which is bringing down the farm produce, and can likely create food insecurities for sections of people, not everywhere, sections of people on an increasing scale. Urbanization, we are seeing it all over the place, the impact of rising water levels, impacting coastal urban areas, the impact of rising temperatures in cities. You're seeing the effect of smog and fog in Delhi and northern India, floods, cyclones. All of this is the impact of the imbalance that is getting created due to urbanization. Why is this context important for us, right? Today, the working age of population of India is literally half our population. 1.2 billion people, out of that 60 crores here, is roughly half the population is a working age population, right? However, this population spans across multiple generations. Like I said, X, Y, Z, all generations of people are there working across. So it's not easy to come up with one single formula to sort of apply to this working population, right? In this relevant population that is there, about 49% of people have digital skills, which means they can use a mobile phone, they can send an SMS, right? They can forward a message, they can receive a message, so that kind of skill. I'm not talking of coding skills or anything, but I'm saying digital skills. They're digitally aware, literate, right? The business relevance of basic education that is being offered, that is there for these set of people, is only at 37%, which means that while we may have graduates, they are not having business relevant skills, right? The supply of business relevant skills is only 42% at this point of time. So you can see the numbers tell a story which says that we have a demand in the country, we are building demand in the country, but we don't have a supply of ready materials, which means we have the raw material, but not the finished product, right? We have people, we have the abilities to do that. We have the demand, but we need to finish the products to make them usable, right? And if we have to grow the GDP of our country, we must build skills. Otherwise, basic economics, law of diminishing returns, unless and until you make capital investments in your manufacturing process, the value or the returns will keep reducing after a point of time. But then is GDP the only right metric, right? How do we account for environmental and social costs that are there today? A lot of times we ignore those costs. And so we need to create an awareness of those costs. How is income and wealth distributed? We may be saying, oh, our GDP has gone up by 20%, 30%, but where has the wealth gone? Has it gone to the privileged 20% of this country, or has that wealth been distributed down to the lowest possible denominator in the country? We don't ever question that. So when we receive from our finance minister, our GDP has increased by 20%, wow, we are doing well. No, right? We need to question, where has that wealth been distributed? And so those are the fundamental questions we must teach our youngsters to ask. We must teach our people to be aware of those questions, right? Is there populism versus pragmatism, right? This is increasingly a question that kind of gnaws at my mind, because I keep seeing every state government saying that this scheme free money, that scheme free money, and then we keep doling out free money to people, rather than investing that money in basic education, healthcare, creation of jobs. And so therefore, the populism versus pragmatism kind of question keeps coming up. What do we, when we say skills, what do we mean by skills? We often tend to equate skills with education, which is not necessarily true, right? I measure skills by the ability to execute a task or a set of tasks or a strategy. It's all increasing complexity, but can you get something done? That is where the skill comes in. So when I hire persons or hire people, I look for the basic knowledge for sure, based on their education, experience, whatever. But then more importantly, I look at the ability to learn or unlearn, relearn agnostically. Why do I say relearn agnostically? It is important because one should have an open mind to learn what is relevant and important at that point of time. You cannot say that, look, I studied mechanical engineering, I will not go and learn how to fix an electrical motor. That's an electrical engineer's job, it's not my job. I think those days are over, right? Today, if the opportunity presents itself for me to learn how to fix an electrical motor, I'll go and learn it. It's a skill. It is not something that I'm not going to forget my mechanical engineering because I learned something in electrical engineering, or I will not forget geography because I decided to study chemistry. So, that agnostical behavior has to be there, that knowledge is knowledge and I will take whatever is offered to me, right? Second thing is resilience. What do you mean by resilience? It's the mental capability to bounce back, right? A lot of times we go through ups and downs. In this digital world, you see mental resilience is something that is getting lost slowly and slowly from our younger generation. So resilience is very, very important to be built for people to bounce back, right? You see, youngsters as young as 15 years, 16 years, write an exam, don't even wait for the result to go and commit suicide. This is just the lack of resilience to say, I can do better, or there is much more beyond this, and therefore I bounce back mentally to do this. So this is the part about resilience. And tenacity is the ability to keep focus on the purpose that is there, right? If you have a purpose, if you have something that you need to accomplish, tenacity is to keep taking the blows, keep taking the changes that come towards you, right? Accept it, absorb it, but keep the focus on the purpose. And that tenacity, we need to have people, that's what I look for when I try to hire people. How tenacious they are, right? And the willingness to leave one's ego outside the door. I mean, in today's world, ego has no place. It is absolutely no place, right? And I mean, I go back to the US again because what the news that I see in this morning's news of Trump's ego literally tearing a country apart. His ego is not allowing him to say that, okay, I lost the presidential election, I need to get out of it and allow a peaceful transition. And it's tearing that country's fabric apart. And so ego plays a very, very, very dangerous role in an industry where you need to really interact with a lot of people. And the ability to communicate, and this is key. Ability to communicate is the key skill that we need to build for ourselves as well for everyone that is working with us. So here I'm going to have another exercise. Okay, let us do this menti.com again. And I would want to hear from you, what is your definition of communication, right? How do you define communication? So I will again bring up my screen, and then we will see what you define as communication. Okay, so Are you on menti.com? The code is there. It is 6767358. Let's just take 2 minutes for you to share what you see as communication. Only one response, information exchange. Thought sharing, exchanging ideas, context, content, story. Exchanging ideas. That's it. Listening. Good, great. One thing that you should observe is the expressions that is there is because a lot of people have written expressions or empathy or listening, they are in bigger in size. Great. Ability to speak, good language command, exchange of facts, easy to understand others, share emotion, deeds, sharing, empathize. Good. So keep pumping it into it. The system will keep accepting it, and then we will move forward, right? Signs, emotions, facts, thoughts, understand thoughts. Absolutely. So I'll go back to my presentation and keep pumping this in, and then I will share this with the larger group, right? So communication, like a lot of you have said, it's an ability to listen, ability to articulate, to storytell, right? Ability to negotiate, ability to know where to be diplomatic and where to demand, ability to network with other people, other colleagues, peers, across different locations, ability to be open to share and collaborate, right? Communication is not about language. I mean, it's not about how good your English is, or it's not about how poetically you write. It's about encouraging conversations, right? Enabling ideas, telling stories, engaging with people in a way that drives results, right? This is the most important part. It should enable an outcome. It should enable a result. Otherwise, the communication is not great, right? So you need to understand this concept that communication, you don't need to have a flowery language or great English. I think, in my opinion, some of the best speakers that I've heard, right, Atal Bihari Vajpayee, whether he speaks in English or Hindi, the clarity with which he used to communicate his thoughts, articulate his thoughts, was amazing, right? I think I really look at him as one of the greatest communicators that I've seen, right? Our ex-president, Dr. Abdul Kalam, he is another good speaker, his ability to articulate, right? So you have live examples of people who are non-English speakers but are great communicators, who can put across an idea, who can motivate, who can really stir up the spirit of people, and that is what I look at a great communicator. That is communication. So communication is not language, right? It's more around this. You are able to have a conversation, you are able to enable an idea, you are able to engage with people, and then this should drive results, right? So what are some of the group skills that I see as when you are working in larger groups, right? Communication, again, I put it there, empathy. Some of you had written empathy and communication also, right? Collaboration and teamwork, right? Ability to work with groups. I say collaboration and teamwork, right? The ability to share. Collaboration is not just working together, but also the ability to share openly without looking for reciprocity from the other person to say, okay, here is an idea, take it, work with it. That is what brings in collaboration. Leadership, work ethic and honesty, right? We today increasingly live in a world that is surrounded by scams, right? People who are supposed to be our leaders and supposed to be our shining lights are the ones who are indulging in scams. So, the only other place that, we can turn to, or the young generation can turn to, is their family and their teachers in terms of work ethic and honesty. Tolerance is another part. This is another skill that we are losing increasingly as a society. So tolerance is a skill that is what I look for. Conflict management, right? Conflict management, issue resolution are two very, very important skills that we look for. Ability to delegate work, which means, let me tell you, in my experience of 20 years, I've come across different kinds of managers, people, colleagues that are there. One set of people who come to work, right, are very, very dispassionate, which means, yeah, it's a job. I will come, I'll do something, I'll go away. Right? I'll spend my 8 hours, I'll do some basic minimum that is required to do my job. That is wrong. There is a second group that comes, very hardworking, right? But they're very, very closed. I will not share, I will not delegate, I will not tell. I might have a team under me, but I'll give them only those low level things. Everything I'll keep closed, I'll not. So there are people like that. And then there are people who are of the nurturing kind, who are knowledgeable, open, warm. They do their jobs, they do it with passion, and they teach others how to do the job and do it better. And they teach them to an extent where they come and say that I am now dispensable because I have trained 4 people to do this job, right? What do you think is going to happen to that person? Right? That person is just going to grow in his career. He's not going to go away. He's going to become a very valued asset. But delegation is a very key skill. I mean, the ability to train and bring up people is an important skill. Respect is the next one, right? Respect to colleagues, to everyone else is very, very important. Sense of humor is also very key, right? In a work environment, sense of humor plays a large role in keeping the team cohesive, productive, and energetic, right? Cultural sensitivity. And this is the need of the hour for everywhere, not only just us in India, but everywhere, right? Because people are migrating from one place to another. People from India go and work all over the world. People from all over the world come and work here in India. They are setting up offices here in India. Because cultural sensitivity becomes an important thing in order to build good relationships, right? Assertiveness. Please understand that I'm talking about assertiveness and not aggressiveness. Assertiveness is the ability to say no. Okay, this is an ability that we as Indians traditionally lack. We don't know how to say no. Ho jayega sir, ho jayega sir. We keep doing this, ho jayega sir, right? And we keep pushing the limits of how much ho jayega, and then we fail in all of those. And so we come across as someone who do not stick to their commitment, right? So the ability to say no is a very important ability. To say no, my plate is full. I can't deliver this to you now. I can deliver it to you at a later date, right? So this is something that we need to learn. This is a key skill. And accountability, ownership. My job, my pride. I have to do this. So this kind of accountability. So these are skills that I look for when I do for people. And these are skills. I've written reskill in upskilling. These are skills that we actively also try to teach to our people who come and work with us. And I'm sure this is being taught in every other company that is there. Because people don't come with these skills. And when I was talking about the skill gaps there, it is not only educational, business ready. When we say business ready, It does not mean that does he know Java programming, does he know artificial intelligence, or can he do data analytics? No, it is not only just that. It's also about all the skills. When you say business ready, it includes all of the skills. And when they come to us in a raw form, we spend a lot of time and energy in doing this reskilling, upskilling for people, right? And this is something that industry really looks forward to in terms of skills that they need to have in people that they hire. And then this brings me to the question: what is your role? You're all teachers here in this group. You run education institutions. You manage large departments in the institutions. You teach to the students. Few things that we need to, and these are universal truths. This is not something new I'm telling you. There is no age limit to learning. People can always acquire new skills. They can always learn new behaviors, right? And in today's world, knowledge is accessible from anywhere. Today, if I want to go and do a course in MIT, I can subscribe online and do a course, get a certificate from MIT. Right? Learning is more democratized now than ever before. Right? Anyone can learn from anywhere and anything. Right? So knowledge, both good and bad. And there is knowledge about making bombs. There is knowledge about how to extract drugs from plants. And then there is knowledge about how to do social good. So there are different kinds of knowledge that is available. So the access is there everywhere. And that is where we need gurus, we need mentors and coaches. There are certain things you cannot teach online. Certain things don't work online. In order to do justice to your role as guru, you have to accept that. And also accept that with all the changes around you, right, you also need to adapt. You also need to unlearn some of these things and relearn to stay relevant. And all these things that I've spoken in the previous slides is to tell you, how fast it is changing and how soon we need to change in our notions of knowledge, of knowing it all also. Today, when I talk to my teams, I tell them that I don't know everything. I accept that. Because if I take any random 5 people in my company today, collectively, they know more than I know as an individual. They can do much better on a particular problem-solving issue than I can do as an individual. So the days of individual brilliance is, the relevance of individual brilliance starts coming down, because with today's tools, with today's understanding, team building, teamwork, and the ability to generate more productivity through a team is becoming more and more, right? Yes, individually brilliant people are always welcome. I mean, they bring in fresh ideas, new thoughts, but then companies hate to depend on one person. They call it risky behavior, right? You cannot depend on one person, because if you are trying to hinge your business around one person, the chance of failure is very high. So companies don't like that. So we would like to see how people work as teams. And so therefore, the relevancy part of it is important, right? Now you might ask, okay, how do I do it? I think that is what this design thinking course is all about. If you spend the last 3 days going through courses, and I'm thinking another 2 days, if I'm not wrong, Dr. Anbu and his team are going to equip you with tools that allow you to address your problems methodically in your own way and find the best way out. Because there is no one mantra or no one fixed formula that can solve this problem, because this is a wide open area, wide open field with unique problems and unique solutions. So I will not dare to put a solution down here. Okay. And so with that, I will come to the end of my presentation, and I'm open to questions from all of you. Any questions that you have for me? Let me see if I have. If there are things on the chat, I've not opened the chat.
Sir,
Yes.
sir, how the person is related to change?
Yes, disruption is related to change, but then change is more gradual. Disruptions come at points in time and then create changes. So disruption is an event, and because of this event, you see changes happening. That's how I would see it.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
I
Do
see
you
a
have any
question here
queries, please
saying,
come in. Yeah, please come forward with your queries, sir.
saying no is that practically possible in career? It can create a havoc. Kedara sir, I would disagree with you. You have to see this in the context of something else that I put in the upfront. The ability to be diplomatic and the ability to be demanding, right? So you need to understand where to use diplomacy and where to use demanding to say no. I mean, there are ways of saying no and there are ways of saying yes, and this comes as you keep doing this. If you don't do it, you'll never learn how to do it. You do it, and sometimes yes, you will burn your fingers once or twice with people, but then you learn it as to how to do it with whom, and it is an important skill to have.
Yes, sir, I agree with you, but sometimes it does happen that when we say no, even if you say in the most modest way, like, sir, can I do it a little later? When the boss is kind of cranky at that time or he's having some kind of issue, it can create like, are you saying no to me? Are you being rude to me? So these kind of situations practically happen to anyone
Yes,
around us. So
I agree.
that's the kind of thing that their ego factor or what kind of mood they are in will definitely impact us on us in certain way. So instead of saying
True, it
no,
happens. I'm not saying 100% of the time you can say no. I mean, you can always say no. The other person may not accept it. I agree with that. Right?
yes,
That is quite possible. Right? Let me give you a few examples of how we say no. Right? When we talk to our customer and the customer says, do this, and I need this tomorrow. Right? We say yes, but a no, which means I have 10 things that are given to me, right? I just go and tell him, okay, you want A to be done? Should I then reprioritize B, C, and D to be done later? And I will do A, right? But for sure, I cannot do A, B, C, D all together at the same time because my bandwidth is only this much, right? So I'm not saying no openly, but I'm saying, okay, you let me reprioritize. What is it that I can do or I can't do, right? At that point of time is when they negotiate. You know what, can you please stretch a little and do only these two and the other three you can do later, and then you arrive at a negotiation point to negotiate. There are subtle ways of doing it, right? And there are certain times you have to say no means a no, right? There are places where I say a no, for example, where I'm direct. If I feel what is being asked of me is a wrong thing to do, either legally, ethically, by any means, a no is a no. I will not agree. So if my boss is to go and say that, you go and fudge your invoice to show more hours so that we earn more money. No, it is wrong. I will not do it. It goes against my basic ethics, the work ethic and other things. So there are things where you say no is a no, because there at that point of time, you should be ready to walk away from that job, because that is on principle. It's not ego, it's on principle. That you have a particular ethic principle, you say no is a no. But then there are other things where you negotiate. And there are points, like you said, where you don't negotiate, you can't negotiate, then you accept it and you move on.
I would like to share a funny incident that happened, sir. I am a law student and now currently I am a lawyer as well as a PhD enthusiast. So this thing happened that was, I was completely into attending this session. So from morning to evening, I kind of stick to the screen. Whereas my clients started call me like, can you come to the court? We need to do this, we need to do that. And I was like kind of avoiding the simplest possible answers. But that's the reason why I asked this question. Is it really possible when you say no? Because when I said that I have few more important things to do, they started like, Madam, this is important, please come. So this is
Yes,
kind of a reaction that I got from one of the client.
yes, yes. It happens, madam. Sometimes you will also have this challenge where you have to make a hard choice, right? So
Sir, to add up,
yeah,
saying no to our own responsibility is not right.
agreed, sir.
And that will be the key behind this saying no.
Agreed,
Where
agreed.
we need to say and where we cannot say no.
Agreed. I agree with you, sir. So that's where I said the accountability, the ownership and pride in one's work is important.
We express no means
There is always, I always follow up no with why I'm saying a no. Okay, I try to give the reasoning behind my no and to tell, see, the way I do with with my colleagues, with my bosses is to say no, give them the reason and also try to give them an alternative. No, I can't do this, but this is an alternative choice I can do, or these are alternative one or two choices that are there, right? Is it okay for you? And this is not a no, it's a negotiation. When I say a no for doing a task, it is a negotiation. When I say no to do something that I feel is wrong, then it's not a negotiation, it's an expression of my thought to say, I don't agree with this, no. And then there are no's which
do that, but a different way.
exactly you will have to decide and then make a choice. Again, I said it is a skill that you build over time. It does not come easily. It is very difficult for us. We have never learned to say no to anyone. We have never said no to our parents, never said no to our teachers, we have never said no to our friends. For the first 25 years of our life, we never learned to say no. And to suddenly expect someone to come to a work environment in their 25th or 26th year and start to say no will not happen. So it takes time because culturally we are wired like that.
Thank you.
Great, sir. Fantastic.
Correct, friends, and thanks, Srinivas, sir. And this is where probably you can think of applying the persona tool here. I mean, how will the other person accept no? Will the other person accept no bluntly if you say, or do you need more logic of a story to convey no in a different way? So
Exactly. It depends on what is the kind of relationship you have with this person, what is the dynamics you have with this person. Is this a conflict-filled relationship? Is it a good relationship? Is it a lot of factors come into play, and then that's where you choose how to say no or what to say at that point of time.
Great, sir. Great. Do we have any more queries from the participant?
Ashima Arora writes here that relationship is not good, it gives a negative. I agree. When the relationship is not good is where you have to use diplomacy a lot, right? You have to use diplomacy to tackle the relationship. So there are a lot of emotional dynamics that are involved in saying no, right? I mean, why with clients and people, even with my wife, when I have to say no, I think twice. So it is not easy. So this is
definitely saying a no to our wife is very, very difficult.
So these are things. So if you don't have any more questions, I really appreciate the opportunity given to me to speak to all of you, and it was my privilege.
So we are very thankful, sir. We are actually carried away the way you have taken the whole session and all. And I just want to be honest with you. I could not even be able to take the notes. I was just flowing with you. So if you are kind enough to share your PPT with all of us, sir, that will be so nice.
I will send it out to Ram in the design team, and they will send it out to you.
So nice of you, sir. It's wonderful to hear from your side, sir. We can see the kind of insight you have on each and every slide and each and every topic. So fantastic to have you here, sir. And I think from all of us, we can have our virtual clapping going on for sir. It's fantastic. So thank you so
thank
much
you very
for
much.
sparing your valuable time with all of us. Fantastic.
Thank you very much. I wish that all of you stay safe during the corona times. and have a safe year ahead. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. And for the participant, we are closing for the day. I will be sharing you the feedback link and the assignment to be done through your email and also through the WhatsApp group. I will be here for next 10 minutes if you have any queries for help. And for all other participants, those who have finished with the day can leave. Thank you so much once again, our speaker. Thank you so much for sparing your time, sir. And have a nice day.
Thank you and have a good day. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.